If you want to buy cheap FIFA 20 Ultimate Team coins, go and check out MMOPO.com and use the discount code EGHD for 8% off your order. Yes guys, welcome back to a new video guys. Today we have Icon Swaps Season 2. It has just come out, as you can see on your screen right now. I haven't looked through any of these. It's literally 1 past 6 PM. We're about to go through it ourselves because let's face it, Icon Swaps can be quite confusing. Which one to pick, which one to actually add value into your team. Everyone's team's different. We're going to look at which ones are best to go for your individual team. And I'm going to talk about why each of your clubs might be different to mine and which ones you would pick instead of me, for example. So, first of all, let's actually run through all of these players. Just quickly go over them because I haven't seen any of them apart from obviously this page. So, Bobby Moore is the lowest. He is only 5 tokens. Frank Rijkaard's CDM, so this is his baby. I know this guy's going to be stiff, so I'm not sure. It depends if this is good value based on the rest of them. Baby Pierro. Now, this is a player I recently used, and I know that he's very good. Van der Sar mid. I think that's his mid. Because I think his baby's 87, so I think that's his mid. That's very good. Mid-level Raul as well. We used him and he was extremely good. How many tokens is he? 10 tokens. Ronald Koeman, mate. We used him too and he was brilliant. Like, this is already looking extremely promising. Baby Seedorf, so that's interesting. So we've got a lot of mids in here and then we've got a Baby Seedorf. I know he's quite expensive for a baby card. So we'll go over all of these in-game stats soon. I think that is Robert Perez's prime card. If I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I haven't really looked at Perez's card that much through FIFA. And then we also have Nakata. I did predict this guy to be in here. I just had a feeling, man, like because he wasn't in his first season, I just felt like he was going to be quite low. But this is his prime version. I think he's got an 85 and 86 and now an 88. I expected a Nakata though to be a little bit lower, especially as we've already seen players like mid Raul and stuff like that. Okay, Socrates, 5-star weak foot, 4-star skills. I think that's his baby. How many tokens? 11 tokens. Jesus. Zambrotta, oh my god, like these are proper good cards. These aren't just like, you know, 15 plus tokens are proper endgame players. Like, these players could possibly be in your team for the rest of FIFA 20 by the looks of it. Luis Figo, I think that is his mid. Yeah, so this is his mid card, and that is it. Mate, I'm actually so gassed with these picks so far. Sol Campbell, another great centre back. So we've got Pierro in there already. Now we've got like our mid tier centre back as Campbell. Gary Lineker. Did I predict him to be in here as well? I think I did. Laurent Blanc, which one is this? Okay, so this is his baby. It's not his centre back cards, but this is a very, I wouldn't say, I don't know if he's meta this year, but he's a very versatile player. You can play him as a CDM or centre mid. He's got a lot of amazing attributes. So these are really interesting. We're not even at the top yet. We're not even at the top. The mid icon pack, how many tokens is that? 18 tokens. That's quite a lot. But is there 24 tokens? I actually don't know. I haven't even checked yet. Luis Hernandez Prime. Ooh. So see, I feel like Crespo, a mid-level Crespo or Prime Crespo is going to be better. So for comparison, I did predict Barnes to be in here. And that, I believe, is actually his Prime. Yeah, so this is Prime Barnes. So 4-star skills, 4-star weak foot. That's a very good card. But we're getting into the top tier now. 19 tokens. I feel like there's a lot of players I'd have picked before this player. Del Piero, very meta this year, 5-star weak foot. This guy has been ripping. I've seen him in very good god tier level teams and doing really well. Ronaldinho, guys, I know this is the baby, but EA needs a round of applause for this one. The content from the Icon Swaps has been amazing since day one. Season 1 was great. So far, what I'm seeing is fantastic. So this is quite high, but you're getting a Ronaldinho, and obviously he's not as fast as the mids or the prime. I think he's got his primes and mids have close to like 90 pace, but that is still amazing. We've got Essien as well. Is that his prime? No way. All right, so we have a prime Essien. Of course, it's his prime. We're at the right to the top now. 23 tokens and a Patrick Vieira. I called it. If you saw my video on Icon Swaps 2, I said there'll be a baby version like a Hullet, like a baby Ronaldo or a baby Vieira, someone that is in everyone's endgame teams when you see him play it professionally. Like, there will be a baby version right at the top, and here he is, Patrick Vieira. Now, that is very interesting. First of all, guys, before we go into comparing all of these players and why you might pick one player over another one, what we're going to do is actually have a look at the tokens, how to get the tokens. So for the first round of these tokens, we only have 6 tokens to get, not 12, and we're going to get more of these. So it's going to be 24 in total. I'm just guessing because 23 is the max you can get. That's just a guess right now. It hasn't been confirmed, but I'm pretty sure. So we get 6 tokens, 3 are online. It says win 4 rivals matches using 9 first owner Bundesliga players in your starting squad. So you can start with 9 first owner players and then you can sub on who you like. For La Liga, Bundesliga and also English players, except they're not first owners. It could just be 11 English players in your starting squad. 4 of them must be first owned. Okay, so that's quite an interesting one. I like the fact that they've changed it up a little bit. Icon Swaps single player, so this is squad battles. It's going to be Liga, BBVA, MX, and MLS. Saudi Professional League, and what? Okay, so win 6 squad battle matches on legendary difficulty using 11 Italian players in your starting squad. So that's going to make Italian players go up slightly in price. But let's get to the point of this video, guys. So first things first, guys. We've got obviously a Bobby Moore here, 89 rated, and we've got an 86 rated for Pierro. So any of you newcomers to FIFA, like, don't be fooled by the overall rating. This Pierro is going to be head and shoulders better than Bobby Moore. So make sure you grind the extra token and go for Pierro. That guys, I'm just saying out the bat. This guy is actually a phenomenal defender. I've actually used Rio Ferdinand a lot, obviously, from Icon Swaps Season 1. And when I played with Pierro, I actually didn't notice that much difference. Like, if you actually gave them to me and said I can only pick one, it doesn't cost me nothing, I'd take Ferdinand's, right? But if you said Hiero's 500k and Rio Ferdinand's 1 mil, I'd pay for Hiero every single time. Like, in terms of the value for what you get, this is an incredible card, and I know he's going to be very, very popular. So for any of you guys that haven't picked a centre back from Season 1, definitely go for this guy. That being said, if there is a player right at the top that you want, like a Patrick Vieira, remember you can't pick 2 because we only have 24 tokens to get. But guys, have a look at his pace. 75 pace, flat pace, which is good. He's not like super fast in acceleration or sprint speed. He's got a nice flat, even amount of pace. His defending stats are amazing. He's got a good amount of strength, decent stamina. But the main thing is he has high agility and balance, which means that you can apply quite a bit of pressure and you don't need to worry about overcommitting too much because you can track back. Whether you're not really like a weekend league player or you just play for fun or you're just a casual player, like, this is still going to be the better option for you to choose. And that really leads me on to covering the first player, Bobby Moore. Like, when you've got Hiero as another option, I just think that no one should be picking this Bobby Moore unless he is a legend for you and you love Bobby Moore and you've got some connection to the actual cards. That is the only reason that I can actually recommend and say that perhaps going for Bobby Moore is a good option. And the reason why, guys, if you're playing competitively at all in FIFA, even if you're playing a bit of Rivals, bit of Weekend League, whatever it is, just having about, 9 pace less is going to be quite a big amount of difference. And I wouldn't say he's unusable. He's not unusable by any means. Like, if you get him in draft, you can probably win your draft comfortably. But at the same time, for a weekend league team, Bobby Moore is not going to cut it, especially when Hiero is only 1 more token. So guys, make sure you go for Hiero if you need a centre back. And this leads me on to Rijkaard. So I used his mid version as a centre back, and I said that he was quite stiff, and he did feel very stiff. But maybe as a CDM he'd be better. The problem is he does have quite a considerable amount less pace. So his mid-level icon card, I believe, has 78 pace. I'm just going off the top of my head because I used him last week and I think it was 78 pace. So he is a little bit slower. In fact, quite a lot less actually. I think that if you guys need a CDM, if you didn't pick up a Guardiola from Season 1, and you regret like grinding and only getting like a Zanetti, like, I know Zanetti was amazing from Season 1, but if you regret grinding and only picking up 1 icon swaps and you didn't pick up a CDM like Guardiola, like a trusty CDM to build a hybrid with, then Rijkaard could be a go-to just to help you build your team. Because having Guardiola has been such an easy thing to build squads around. Now, Van der Sar actually is one of the better goalkeepers in this game. And you'll see him actually being used by a lot of pros, especially from previous years as well. And the fact that you're getting a mid-level, it's not even his baby, does say, like, this is an amazing pick. But the thing is, you can actually pick up like a ter Stegen, an Oblak, an Alisson, like De Gea, for example, like players for between 40 and 70,000 coins. And if you've got an icon centre back, and most of you should be going for Hiero, you won't need an icon goalkeeper, because to get chemistry with the top goalkeepers, there is a centre back to pair up with, if that makes any sense to you guys at all. But when you're building the team, you just don't need another icon as a goalkeeper. So just an example, if you're going for the Spanish League and you wanted to use ter Stegen, you could literally go for Varane, you could go for Eder Militao, you could go for Ramos, you can go for any centre-back you want from this league, and you don't have to worry about connecting up to the centre-back. So that's what I'm trying to say. If you pick Hiero and you don't have a centre-back, now you do have an icon centre-back from picking Hiero, then you really don't need goalkeeper Van der Sar. But guys, the same goes for Bobby Moore. If you have some kind of connection to Van der Sar outside of FIFA, outside of the actual card, and you don't care about trying to get every little edge above, you know, in your team basically, then Van der Sar is going to be, I think, one of the best goalkeepers actually in this game. Forget ratings and everything, he just performs the best. Now going into the icons, guys, that you cannot get from the first batch of tokens released. So these are going for 10 tokens. I like the fact that they've gone for a flat 10 tokens across the board, so it's not too confusing. Have they done it for all of them? So it's 3 of them for 11, a 13 there, 14, 14, 14, 18, 19, 19, 20, 21, 23 and 23. Okay, I thought for a second that they did like a whole page by one set amount of tokens. So first things first, guys, I'm going to talk about the players that I have used here, and I've used Raul and I've used Koeman. Koeman is an amazing centre back, on par with Pierro, except he's got like the ability to literally play striker if you want. Obviously, you're not going to play him striker, but my point is he has the capability to not only just win the ball, but he has the composure on the ball to be able to pass it off and play more attacking. He's also very quick. He's actually quicker and he seems more agile actually than Pierro. Just maybe it's the extra pace that makes him feel that way, but he feels really, really good. His passing is quite a bit better actually, and that's the main difference. It's the fact that he's got the pace and he's also got the passing. So he actually came, I think I put him second in my best icon centre backs for 500k or under. So this is definitely what, maybe if you're not going to go for Pierro, you could go for a Koeman. But Raul is a fantastic striker. So if you find that you're building a lot of teams, you're trying to get into Neymar and Messi, and you're trying to get Mbappe, Ronaldo, and you just can't get chemistry because you're lacking someone that's going to play with a CDM, centre mid, cam, or striker, then picking a player like Raul, he can play as a cam and he can play as a striker. It's not like Crespo. Crespo has terrible passing. Raul has insane in-game stats. So when you look at his passing, you think 78 passing, that's not very good. He has 89 vision and 86 short passing. That, for most people, is 90% of the types of passes they make. So that is the important stats. That's like having 70 shooting but 90 finishing. It's like you've got the best stats on the best things in that category, if that makes any sense to you guys. He's got also great stamina. I actually think his baby icon was pretty decent, like for quite low ratings. But this card, compared to his baby, has an extra like 10 pace or something. It might be literally dead on 10 pace. So guys, if you need a striker, 10 tokens I think is a brilliant amount in terms of value for money for Raul. I'll definitely think about using him for the next 2 or 3 months, even through Team of the Year. Like, this card could definitely stay in your team. And as I said, if you do happen to, like, a flashback SBC comes out and you get a new striker, you can play him in cam. You can play him Ram or Lam or quite a lot of different positions attacking in an attacking role. This could be a good shout. 10 tokens, I feel like the best value, you're looking at Raul and Koeman, but again, Seedorf, he has great stats. You can play him as a CDM. If you put a shadow on him, he does fit this role quite well. He's got enough stamina to play CDM. I would say he's at the bottom end of stamina for a CDM, because you don't want to have like a counter attack in extra time or weekend league and not have enough stamina. So he's got enough stamina, got good strength, good aggression. His dribbling's pretty flat, like pretty well rounded. There's nothing that stands out as an amazing stat on his cards. He's like basically like a cheap Hullet, I guess you can say, in terms of what he would feel like in terms of what he offers to your team. Like, he could play everywhere. He could play as a CDM or a cam basically. Although, as I said, you know, if, for example, just a couple of days ago, Footmas Vidal, if you've got a Footmas Vidal on your team, you don't need a CDM. Like, I just feel like a lot of people have this position covered for their teams. So, but the thing is with Clarence Seedorf, if you are going to play him CDM, then surely you're better off, instead of spending 10 tokens, come back to page 1 and spend literally half the tokens. You get a player that can play CDM equally just as good. Obviously a different type of player. He's not going to be as fast, but he's going to be better at playing at CDM. And I think that, yeah, if you decide you want to pick another player in this, you're giving yourself a lot more options if you pick a Frank Rijkaard than if you go for a Seedorf. But as I said, again, like any of these players, if they have any other meaning to you outside of the game, then definitely go for it. So, for example, if you're an Arsenal fan, Robert Perez, he might not be the most effective player, but he is obviously going to have a place in your heart. So, 88 pace, 82 shooting, 88 passing, 89 dribbling. I'm so glad it didn't put his mid or his baby, because those cards just don't cut it on this game. His prime, though, does look pretty decent. So let's have a look at his stats. 84 stamina. It's always a stat I look at first, because the amount of times I look at a card, I'm like, yeah, this is really good. Look at the stamina, completely kills off the card for me. But 88 pace, flat pace, so 88, 88. Agility and balance isn't great. It sits on the bottom end. You might need to put something to increase his dribbling, whether that's a marksman, probably not a marksman because he's got quite low strength, so you're not going to notice an extra five or so strength there. His passing is pretty good, standard. His finishing is okay, but it would do. I think maybe a sniper here would benefit him most because 81 agility, 79 balance, 91 dribbling is good. But if you can up his agility and balance, that would completely transform the card. But for 10 tokens, does he compete on the same page as Raul and Koeman? Now here's my thing. The other thing to consider is Perez is a left mid, which means obviously you're going to be putting him into a 4-5-1, you're going to be putting him into a 4-3-3. I feel like the left wing position, I think most people would rather have a Neymar in their team and just pick an icon to go in centre mid and tie him up, or a striker to go tie in Neymar, like a Brazilian player or an icon again. Like, I just feel like as a left mid, he's taken a position that many better players in FIFA actually have. As I said, just Neymar off the bat. You've got informed Griezmann, you've got Ronaldinho. If you've got a lot of coins, there's a lot of players. Hazard, just any form of Hazard, base Hazard, inform Ronaldo. I think he's left wing as well. There's a lot of positions and players that play in the left mid or left wing position that are better than Robert Perez. And 10 tokens is almost half your tokens going on to one player, which I think that a lot of you might be disappointed with. So on this page, I'm thinking if you want to pick any of these players, I think Raul and Koeman are the ones to go for. All right, now on to the next page. Now, first things first, guys. Nakata, I think, is actually better than people predict him to be. I think that they look at his stats and go, there's nothing stand out about his stats, and there really isn't. He's a pretty average-looking player. His finishing's not great. This year, like, finesse shots from a long distance isn't as effective. Especially early on FIFA 19, you can time finesse outside the box, very effective. So he'd be better off with better finishing. But this is a very usable card. The problem is, I think the tokens they're asking is too much. I think 8 tokens or less to be competing with like a good value, especially since this season 2 so far, the players that we're seeing in it, he's not going to be as effective as a Socrates, a Zambrotta, or a Figo. Well, Figo's 2 more tokens, but there's just no way a Nakata is going to be a player that I would recommend to anyone over Socrates or Zambrotta. The other thing to consider is, like, if you're building a team, there's most of the best players in FIFA that aren't icons, well, even are icons as well, are actually Brazilian. So you're going to get more strong links with Socrates than Nakata because of the Japanese flag, the Japanese nationality. Now, Socrates, as you can see, 5-star weak foot, 4-star skills. I used him last year, haven't used him this year yet, but I feel like because I used him last year, I can kind of imagine how good he would be in game, and 5-star weak foot is absolutely key. He would be a great cam. He would be different from what a lot of people, I think, use because he doesn't have the best balance and agility. The way he feels on the ball is kind of like Ibra because he has really good dribbling. His agility is not bad, but it's the balance that lets him down. He has super high, well, not even super high strength, just very good strength. 82 strength, 85 stamina. His shooting's very good. Obviously, his baby to his mid to his prime, there's a big difference. But I think that if this was his mid card or his prime, just everyone would be picking him because he's just so good. So I'm kind of glad they put his baby in it. Otherwise, it would just be really boring to look at people's teams on the loading section. But guys, for an extra 1 token, like, I'd definitely recommend going for a Socrates over a Seedorf personally. Just looking at in-game stats, I just think, yeah, 5-star weak foot is the key thing. I think if his 4-star skills, 4-star weak foot, then that would make me change my mind a little bit. And then the final card we have for 11 tokens is Baby Zambrotta. Now, this is another player that fits within the pro kind of shape of their team. And the reason why, again, is kind of like Mendy on the left side. He has that 5-star weak foot. So 5-star weak foot, 4-star skills. And it's kind of a little bit controversial because obviously Zanetti was so hard to grind for Season 1. And arguably, Zambrotta is actually the better right back. He doesn't have the better defensive stats, but some people would prefer to have Zambrotta because of that 5-star weak foot, and he's just better at attacking, better at going forwards. But I'm glad they've given us his baby and not his prime, because that would be just too much, and it'd be very obvious. I like the fact they've gone for players that are competing at this level. But anyway, let's have a look at his stats, because I think 86 overall for this card is just definitely an understatement, because his in-game stats are just great. So 91 pace, slightly more on sprint speed, 90 stamina, which is good for left backs and right backs, strength 81, 85 aggression. His defending stats, 84 interceptions and a 79 defensive awareness, 84 standing tackle. Those are the three ones you want to go for. Heading accuracy doesn't matter too much. Sliding tackle, I don't particularly slide that much. If you do, then obviously have a look at that stat, but I don't think many people do. His agility and balance isn't actually amazing. I in my head, I thought it was better than it really was, so maybe that is a little bit of a weakness. I just had a look at Prime Zanetti's stats. He has 79 agility and 85 balance, so he will feel better as a right back, Zanetti. So anyone that did complete that in Season 1, you shouldn't feel too ashamed of yourself for spending all that time getting those tokens and only getting a Zanetti, but you've definitely got the better right back. But the thing is, this is only 11 tokens, so you can go for other players in this list. And there's so many good options. Anyway, let's go over to the last one. I'm too excited, man. Luis Figo, mid, not his baby, not his prime, his mid, and this card is great. Now, the problem with this card is he's now competing in a Messi position. If you put Figo in here, you cannot get Messi into your team unless you're willing to play some of these off chemistry. So that is the problem. And I think that he does make a good right wing, but I think he actually makes a better cam. And that's not only from me just looking at these cards, that's just other people using them against me, fitting into other people's teams. Like, his stats really do fit a cam really well. Nice stats here. So he's got the pace. He does lack a little bit on balance, but usually when a player lacks on balance like this, they've got high strength, which he does. So 77 strength. But if I'm looking at his stats, the only player that I can really try to relate to, he's like Costa is, Icon Costa is a really bad version of a Luis Figo. If you actually have a look at the stats, he's got decent pace, passing, dribbling and everything, but he lacks a little bit on balance. But he's got quite high strength for, if you are playing him cam, it's kind of strange to have a player that's going to have quite high strength as a cam. Usually they are weaker players that can have good dribbling and can pass really well. I do like this option. The other thing to consider with Figo is if you are trying to get a Ronaldo into your team, especially if you've got a striker Ronaldo, he will be able to get him a strong link. If you don't want to use any Serie A links from Juventus, Luis Figo can tie in a Ronaldo. Yeah, I mean, again, you've got to think about it for your team, but I think for 13 tokens, it kind of sits where it should do. I think 11 tokens is too little, 15, 16 tokens is too much when you actually compare it to the rest of this list. But anyway, let's go into the next one, Sol Campbell. And yeah, fantastic defender, don't get me wrong. A little bit stiff. I'm not a fan of the stiffer centre-backs. I know that typically what you do get with the stiffer centre-backs is more strength. He's got 95 strength. This guy is going to be an absolute brick wall, a machine. The problem is, if someone does turn you, if someone does ball roll you, if someone does get him out the way, he's not coming back because it's going to take a long time to turn around. He's got 51 agility, 53 balance. But I've not used Campbell, so I'm not gonna criticise him too heavily. I know that a lot of people have used him before and they do say he's a really good player, but I just think for 6 tokens, getting a Hierro over 14 tokens for Campbell is definitely the way to go if you just want a centre-back. If you want 2 centre-backs, then obviously consider Hierro and Campbell, or Coman actually. There's actually so many good selections in this list, man. But his stats, 89 interceptions, 91 defensive awareness, slap a shadow on this guy. He's pretty much maxed out on defending and pace, but except when you put a shadow on, you don't get a boost on your strength. But the thing is, he has 95 strength, so he's going to feel he's going to be your brick, as I said already. And what you can do if you're playing a 2 centre-back formation is have a Campbell and then mix in a player that's got more agility and balance on your other player, so that you can be more aggressive with that player, more like passive aggressive, if that makes sense. Like covering runs more, whereas Campbell's more like your brute force defender. Now guys, Gary Lineker, this is an interesting one. 92 rated. This is no joke of a card, and I think it's super underrated just because, well, you know what? I actually don't know. If you have a look at his stats, 88 pace, 91 shooting. That is not a joke. At this stage of FIFA, having a player with 91 shooting, that's untradeable, and you can earn through getting tokens. Incredible. I like what EA have done, right? 3-star skill moves. I think that's one of the main reasons. So a lack of skill moves is definitely a down point there. In-game stats, 90 acceleration, 87 sprint speed. So realistically, what you're going to be putting on this card, you're probably going to be putting a sniper, because his dribbling, so 83 agility, 79 balance. His dribbling's not awful, but it's not great for a caliber of a 92 rated striker. It needs to be better. I guess what he will feel like is a little bit like Suarez. I think Suarez this year has 3-star skills. I might be wrong, but I think he has 3-star skills, 4-star weak foot. Suarez is slower. Obviously this year he's got like 70 pace or low 70s. Whereas Gary Lineker, like, he's got the pace, he's got the 95 finishing, man. Yeah, so Sniper would really fit this card. He'd have maxed out finishing. His shooting would be phenomenal. He's got good strength, as I said, just like a Suarez. But he lacks a little bit in that agility and balance. Do I think it's worth it for the tokens? Now, this is where it's getting really hard for me to choose, and it really does come down to your team. Because if you do need a striker, is Raul going to be better? So 14 tokens versus 10. That's not that much. It's an extra 40% of tokens, so an extra 4 tokens there. It depends how you play. If you use that 4-star skill moves quite a lot, if you use the La Croqueta, if you do anything like Berber spins, then I think Lineker you're going to be disappointed with. But if you're someone that just does ball rolls, the occasional step over, then I think you could use Lineker to be very effective. He's got high-low work rates as well, which is very good. Something we haven't spoke about is actually his passing. 72 vision, 83 short passing. I didn't see the 83 short passing. That's good. That's a good thing. So his passing's not going to be awful. It won't be as bad as 73 passing. It would probably feel like 78, 80 because the short passing and the vision is the most important. But he can only play striker. Or actually, you know what? Left wing, right wing, he could probably get away with. But as a cam, because of his bad passing or relatively average passing, he would not fit into a good level of team at the moment going forwards. But anyway, the last 14 token player, Laurent Blanc, baby version. I know a lot of people had tried to use Blanc in their expensive teams at the start of the game, and I did notice that they actually started to get him out of the team. I think that the agility and balance is such a key factor this year, and I think that as a CDM, there have been many great options. As I said, like just a flashback Paulinho, like some players that are coming out, people just prefer to use over Blanc. I think it's a great card, don't get me wrong, but if you want an attacking kind of CDM that sits opposite your brick of a CDM, then yeah, Blanc would be a good option. But I do like the card. I just think that now we're getting up the token list, it's going to be hard for me to recommend a player because they're getting really expensive. Mid-icon pack, personally, I wouldn't recommend going for this. I just think that you're better off picking a player that you know you're going to get. I think, obviously, well, mid's a lot better than baby, but there are going to be a lot of mids that you just won't want to use. And for under 18 tokens, you can pick two. You can put 2 or 3 players up this time. You can pick 3 off of the first page, couldn't you? So you can literally pick up Rijkaard, Pierro, and Van der Sar for 1 mid-icon pack. And realistically, how angry would you be if you open a mid-icon pack and you get, I don't know, a Van der Sar? Like, literally, you could have picked 2 other icons for the same amount of tokens you spend. So, personally, I recommend staying away from this. Obviously, this is more of an exciting thing to do, putting all that hard work into basically a bit of a gamble. If you fancy doing it, then do it. But don't recommend doing it for the best value. Now, Hernandez is a player I haven't used this year. I was very close to buying him and using him with Crespo and Raul to see which was the better striker. But when I looked at Hernandez's stats, it's quite similar to the likes of a Crespo, except he doesn't have the skill moves. So Crespo and Raul have 4-star skills and weak foot. Did I say skill moves? I actually meant weak foot. So he has 3-star weak foot, and obviously for a striker, the amount of times you get through on goal, and you need to be deadly in as many positions as possible. You don't want to just be a very predictable striker. You don't want to be able to only shoot on one side. So I think 3-star weak foot is pretty bad. But if you have a look at his in-game stats, I find that when players start to get over 90 finishing and their shooting stats are like this, a 3-star weak foot does feel like a 4-star weak foot at times. Hopefully that makes sense. But, you know, for example, I used a Hugo Sanchez with really low composure and that 3-star weak foot, and he was able to shoot pretty nicely with his weak foot. So it really depends. But he's got nice agility, 93 agility, 85 balance, 89 dribbling. He's 5'9", so he's quite a small player. 65 strength. That's something a Crespo or Raul has. They actually have higher strength than a Hernandez, if I'm going to critique him heavily. In terms of his passing isn't great. Raul's passing is better. You know what, guys? Like, if I'm being brutally honest here, I would rather pick the mid-level Raul for 10 tokens. Well, not even 10 tokens. I'd rather have Raul mid-level than Hernandez's prime. That's me being brutally honest. As I said, I haven't used Hernandez, but we're looking at stats that are just marginally different in some ways. So, and I've got a lot of experience using players this year. So that's my honest opinion. If you need to obviously link in any Mexican players into your squad, or any players that come out over the course of these tokens being released and these objectives being released, then that's something you've got to consider yourself. But as I said, you're probably better off going for a Raul for 10 tokens and saving those 9 tokens for another player. Now Barnes is he is a good player. I think that they've really overshot the price for this player as well. I think that he's got some good stats. Don't get me wrong. 91 dribbling is good, but it's the balance again. He's got very high strength, so he's going to be like taller but stronger. 4-star skills, 4-star weak foot. Where would you play him? Would you play him striker? Would you play him cam? Would you play him left wing, right wing, ram? He could probably do it all because he's got good passing. He's got good dribbling despite the balance. But there's nothing really super stand out. I'd rather pick a Barnes than a Luis Hernandez personally, because I think there's a lot more options for strikers. But if you really force me to pick between a Robert Pires and a Barnes, for 19 tokens on Barnes, it's just too expensive. If you compare the 10 tokens we have here for Robert Pires, I think if you do need a left mid or a left wing, then go for Pires and then save the tokens. So far, when we've actually got to the expensive page, I'm actually disappointed in the value you get for the Hernandez. But I want to make it clear, guys, I'm not saying this is a bad player. I just think that you're getting better value players in this season in the mid section to lower section than we are in the top section. But that leads us on to the next one, who I think is understandable. So 20 tokens for this player, and you know what, he's actually valued, I'm looking at the value right now, is 1 million coins on the market, and there's a reason for that. His mid icon, which is this one, is actually better than his prime, because he actually has better pace and better agility. Once you go up to the prime, you start getting to 66 balance and you get like 83 pace, which is a downgrade. Obviously the shooting stats go up on the prime, but this card is actually the best version of Del Piero. Just, we're not including his prime moments, of course, because we don't know what that looks like yet. But this card, I would say, if you fancy grinding for this card, then do it. Because also what we're going to have throughout the year, we're going to have a flashback Italian at some point probably. We're going to have some kind of SBC, League SBC Italian that you want to tie in and get a strong link with. So he's from a good nationality. He fits into a team. He can play cam. He can play striker. I think that he will have more difficulty playing left wing and right wing going forwards because he doesn't quite have the pace or the dribbling stat. Well, he does have. If he was fast enough, he would have the dribbling stats if he had the strength to go with it. But 64 strength with 73 balance, not really. But yeah, this guy as either a cam or a striker for like a 4-2-3-1 would be deadly. Basically like an upgraded Ben Yedder in a sense, except he doesn't have the balance. But what he makes up for that is actually the high quality stats, the extremely good passing, shooting. But yeah, medium work rates, I don't like that. I think as a striker that would be bad, but as a cam you can get away with medium. 5-star weak foot, 4-star skills. You know what? If you want to go for this player, 20 tokens. I feel like personally I'm not going to be spending that long to get one player like Del Piero because I've got enough coins to just buy him if I wanted to use him. I think that value isn't that bad. I think that on this page I'd rather go for a Del Piero so far out of Barnes and Hernandez. And that leads us on to Ronaldinho. Now this is obviously his baby card because he doesn't have the pace that his mid and his prime has. But if you actually have a look at his card stats, they are incredible. So 5-star skills, of course. 4-star skill moves. Medium low work rates. He'll probably be playing as a cam for you. Or a striker. You could play him as a striker. And this is a player for me that I think a lot of people do, not necessarily just because he's the best and most effective, but because you're getting a Ronaldinho. You're getting a Ronaldinho for free here. 82 strength. Like that's quite a lot of strength, man, on a baby card as well. I don't know if it goes up on the prime and the mid, but 80 pace. We're looking at that pace and we're thinking, oh, that's quite slow for Ronaldinho. It's still very usable though, so don't be put off by this. His agility and balance is very good for the amount of strength that he has. 75 stamina is not great. So yeah, that's not great. But I don't know. I feel like this card is going to be extremely fun to use. Like, who doesn't like using a Ronaldinho? And something that I've noticed when other people, I haven't used him personally this year, but when other people use Ronaldinho, it's like his dribbling is completely different. So it might say 90 dribbling here. We might have a look at his agility and balance and his dribbling, ball control, all of that. But there's something about some players in game that just feel different. Like, so for example, Ronaldo running with the ball is different to other players running with the ball with similar stats. Messi dribbling is different than other players. Like, it's just completely different. Ronaldinho as well, the way that he dribbles, it's different. This is just going to be an extremely fun card. If you're someone who has a lot of coins, probably say that don't go for him because you can just go for the mid or the prime. The mid is actually in the cam position as well, whereas the prime is the left wing position. So yeah, if you've got the coins, then I wouldn't go for Ronaldinho. I'd just pay for the the mid version if you need him as a essential position. So yeah, if you actually wanted a Ronaldinho and you've got a fair bit of coins, like you can afford him, then I'd actually just buy him rather than grinding for it. I think that the top end of this season so far is just not worth grinding for. But anyway, that leads us on to the last page, which we have 2 CDMs effectively that are different in some ways. So we have a Prime Essien. Now this card looks amazing, insane. 85 pace, 90 defending, 90 physical. Vieira, on the face card value, slower, less defending, and actually less physical. But he's just meta. Something we're not looking at here though, if we go into the in-game stats, 6'4" versus 5'10". Now obviously for your CDM, you're going to have stay back whilst attacking, probably if you're using like a 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2 or 4-2-2-2, something like that. I think that this Essien card is going to be just as good, if not better than a Vieira. The thing is, we have had Vieira in this game for so long and it's been people's staple go-to, like best out-and-out CDM. Apart from Hullet, who's more of like an attacking CDM, like, you know, if you need to switch up your attack and start changing things up, you'll get your Hullet forward, whereas Vieira is always going to be staying back. So as an actual proper CDM, Vieira has been like the best one. The baby is very usable, but I think that for 23 tokens, I'd rather go for an Essien, man. The thing is with Essien as well, if you are losing the game and you want your CDMs to get a bit more attacking, not only has he got better shooting, he's got better dribbling, better pace, like better everything pretty much. Right, let's have a look at the actual stats. We're going to start off with a physical for a CDM. 94 stamina, insane, love that. 89 strength for a player with 5 foot. That's 5'10". That will feel weird. It'll be like there's a force field around him. 87 aggression. That's really good as well. Defending, 93 interceptions, 90 awareness, 92 stand tackle, 91 slides in. I'm trying to think. I think a Shadow would still be the best thing to go for, although he'd have, I think, 94 sprint speed and 99 acceleration. So that's insane. 88 balance with that amount of strength. He's going to feel very strong. Only 75 agility, but the balance, I think, with the strength is going to feel different level. 88 ball control, which is quite a high level ball control for 82 dribbling. So what I'm looking at here is if you pass it, if you're in a desperate situation, you pass really forcefully into Essien, his ball control is going to be really good. He's going to have that composure, 85 composure, be able to pass it off. His short passing is 91, long passing is 86, and his vision is 78. So for 81 passing, it's going to feel like 86, 87 just because he's got the stats in the right area. You don't care about free kick accuracy. You don't care about crossing because we don't cross on FIFA. On FIFA 20, I should say. And curve, it's not that important unless you're taking a lot of finesse shots. Although for free balls, actually, curve is important if you're bending it round. His finishing's not great. It's more about his shot power and long shots. But yeah, I think if we compare those stats now to Vieira has less stamina, but his body type, as I said, we was talking about Ronaldinho, feels different. Vieira will feel different. He's 6'4", he's massive. His actual defending stats are less as well, so 83 defensive awareness. I think Essien was just at about 90-ish. His reactions are better, his composure is actually better. His passing, 89 vision, 86 short passing, 85 long passing, quite similar there actually on the passing, similar curve as well. His actual shooting, finishing wise, going to feel the same, although if you're taking a longer shot, then obviously Essien's going to blow the net off. And then the agility, and then the actual pace itself, 82 acceleration, 80 sprint speed. He's definitely not a slouch of a player, this Vieira. We know that he's a top tier player. So guys, when you think about comparing Vieira to Essien, I think personally if I put all that time and effort into grinding for Vieira and Essien, I would rather go for Essien. But obviously, if you're a die-hard Arsenal fan, then there's no player that you should go for other than Vieira, man. Like, that guy's legendary. It's just, I think that as a CDM, I think that they're going to be very close to how they perform. Vieira being a little bit taller, stronger, even though his strength doesn't actually say it, I think that his actual physique will actually be more imposing. Whereas Essien's just going to be, I think, more fun to use as well. Not only is he a newer icon, he's actually got interesting stats other than just defending and physical. So guys, that's pretty much summed up which ones I think are good value, which ones you should go for in your squad. I really like Season 2. I like the options they've given us. But as a quick summary, it starts off really good lower down the order. I think Frank Rijkaard, if you really do need a CDM, and obviously your CDM will tie in a lot of chemistry for your team if you're building hybrids, I think that's a good go-to. Hierro is the standout player for me. Value, he's basically like a Guardiola from Season 1. Like, I can see a lot of people doing him. Van der Sar, one of the best goalkeepers, but do you need him? Like, as I said, we've got goalkeepers for 40 to 60, 70k-ish that you can pick up that are going to be probably just as good. Raul, Brilliant striker. Absolutely loved him. Very consistent. Can play a cam. Can play a striker. Can play on the sides if you want. Coman. What a player you're getting here. I think that some people might not like the fact that he is quite attacking. He might get forwards. He might be a bit too much for some people. But if you're quite a high pressuring player when it comes to your centre-backs, I think you're going to love Coman. Seedorf and Perez, you know what? Having a look at this list, I think for 10 tokens, if you fancy going for them, they're still good value. They're not that expensive, and you've still got a lot of tokens to spend on the rest of these. Nakata, I think, is overrated. I think that he should be between 6 and 8. I think for 6 he'd be an absolute steal, but for 8 he'd fit nicely. I think for 11 he's just a little bit too much. Socrates, I think for we've got Zambrotta next to him. Like, these two are very good. Like, I don't know what to say to you guys. It really depends on the chemistry for your teams and where you feel like you're lacking. But something to consider with Zambrotta is if you do fancy, you can play him left back, and you can, I think, get either, is it 7 chemistry or 8 chemistry? But either way, like a Zambrotta with 91 pace and 82 defending with a shadow on him and only 7 or 8 chemistry, he's going to be better than pretty much any other left back in this game. So this is quite a versatile player. You don't have to stick to him as a right back. You can play him left back if you want. Socrates, I recommend you guys actually trying to buy him off the market if you have enough coins to actually test him out first before you pick him, because he's a tall player. You might not like how he feels. He'll feel similar to Ibrahimovic. Figo, now this is where the position starts to contend with the likes of Messi, and I think value-wise, there are better value icons that we've just had a look at before this. Sol Campbell, absolute brick. Gary Lineker, interesting. Guys, I'm going through these now again. I can't believe the icons that we have to pick from. But as we get to the top here, the only one that I'd really say is good for like a weekend league team would be a Del Piero. I'd say for fun, I'd say Ronaldinho. And obviously, if you have a connection to Hernandez, maybe you've used them in previous FIFAs. But on this page, I think Del Piero is the best player for out-and-out actual, like, taking this game seriously, like weekend league or rivals. Ronaldinho is you're gonna get the most fun, best nationality as well. Now Barnes competing in the left wing position is gonna be tough with the likes of Neymar. And then finally, the last page, 23 tokens for these. That is a proper grind. If you've got the patience, then I would say I recommend going for an Essien. I think you'd enjoy using an Essien more than a Patrick Vieira. Although a Vieira is an insane card, I think that in terms of value, obviously it isn't worth spending that long to get a baby Vieira. You've got to think, in 6 weeks to 2 months time, are you really going to be wanting a baby Vieira in your squad? Is there not going to be another player that you can get into your squad that either is on par with baby Vieira or even better? But guys, it's going to be the end of the video. If you're still here, if you're still listening, if you've got it open on a tab, if you've watched it till this point, be generous and please leave me a like. It really helps my video get out there. And I think that's a video that everyone can kind of benefit from, just to kind of sort in their heads or where the value lies in Icon Swaps. Although I probably will do another video covering Icon Swaps too in terms of value for coins per token, if that makes sense. So I'll do some kind of chart or some kind of tracking to see which ones are best, what is the best for coin to token ratio. But that is going to be another day. Thank you for watching. Also, don't forget, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you later. Bye bye.